The U.S. says it has destroyed 16 Iranian mine-laying vessels near the Strait of Hormuz after Iran threatened to block oil exports from the waterway responsible for a fifth of global energy transports. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump warned Tehran of unprecedented intense attacks if it moved to restrict the strait to further destabilize global energy markets, which have already experienced volatility during the war. On Tuesday, senior Iranian lawmakers warned that the Strait of Hormuz will either be a strait of peace and prosperity for all, or a, quote, strait of punishment for warmongers. Washington's attacks late on Tuesday closed out day 11 of the war, which many, including residents of Tehran, have described as the most intense day yet. The Israeli army throughout the day targeted multiple locations across the Persian nation as it looks to eliminate the country's offensive posture. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will continue to strike Iran for as long as necessary until it no longer poses a threat to his country. The IDF is also continuing to carry out wide-scale operations across neighboring Lebanon on targets it claims are linked to the Iran-backed Hezbollah group. Tehran is continuing to retaliate, with Tuesday seeing multiple barrages of drones and missiles fired at Israel and neighboring Gulf states hosting U.S. bases. Many in the region, including Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait, reported attacks, which they say were intercepted. Air raid sirens also consistently sounded across multiple Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv, with the IDF reporting steady streams of incoming Iranian fire throughout the day.
Israel has launched a new wave of strikes on Hezbollah targets in Beirut, with explosions rocking the southern suburbs of the Lebanese capital. However, a separate strike has also hit the densely populated Aisha Bakar area in central Beirut, coming entirely without warning. Videos circulating online show 2 floors of a multi-story building completely engulfed in flames. There are no immediate reports regarding the intended target or the extent of the casualties. The central strike zone is located close to Dar al-Fatwa, the country's highest Sunni authority, and sits far from the southern suburbs, where the Israeli military had previously issued evacuation warnings. Families fleeing the bombardment trying to find shelter as the wider effects of the US-Israel war on Iran continue to shake the region. Lebanese authorities confirmed that over 667,000 people have now registered on the government's displacement platform, marking a staggering surge of 100,000 refugees in just one day.
In a video conference on Wednesday with the leaders of the G7 on the Iran war, French President Emmanuel Macron acknowledged that Iran's military capabilities had been weakened but had not been fully eliminated.
Il y a déjà aujourd'hui des dommages considérables qui ont été portés aux capacités balistiques, militaires de l'Iran. L'Iran néanmoins continue d'agresser plusieurs pays de la région. Et donc ces capacités ne sont pas réduites à zéro.
The G7 leaders also discussed the situation in the Strait of Hormuz and the possibility of Iran laying mines in this narrow maritime passage. Macron stated he had not seen evidence of this taking place.
Je n'en ai pas la confirmation, ni par des services partenaires, ni par nos propres services.
The United States announced that it had destroyed 16 Iranian ships capable of laying mines. Mining the strait would have serious consequences for global trade. Approximately 20% of the world's oil passes through this maritime zone.
Ukraine and Russia have traded heavy blows on critical infrastructure and military plants, leaving dozens dead and wounded. Early Wednesday, Russian troops struck the Kharkiv and Kherson regions, hitting a civilian enterprise, critical infrastructure, and multiple homes, including 4 multi-story buildings. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces launched a wave of retaliatory attacks deep into Russian territory. In Togliatti, a major industrial plant caught fire, which Ukrainian media identify as one of Russia's largest chemical producers. This follows a confirmed Ukrainian missile strike on Tuesday against the Silicon L microelectronics plant in Bryansk, a facility producing control systems for missiles and drones. The regional governor reported 6 people were killed and 37 were wounded in the attack. Explosions also rattled an ammunition depot in Moscow-controlled Mariupol, as well as the skies above Samara and Syzran. President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the Bryansk strike and pushed back against Donald Trump's recent claim that Kiev has no cards left to play. Zelensky insisted his country's combat experience and military production are strong assets, revealing the US recently asked Ukraine for help fighting Iranian drones in the Middle East. Meanwhile, the Russian Foreign Ministry claims Ukrainian strikes over the past week have killed 30 people and injured 150.
A Hungarian government delegation has entered Ukraine to inspect the Druzhba oil pipeline, which has been out of operation since an alleged Russian drone strike damaged it in late January, resulting in an escalating dispute between Budapest and Kyiv that has drawn in the EU. The mission, which includes the deputy minister at Hungary's Ministry of Energy and a team of oil industry specialists, comes after months of disputes involving Hungary and Slovakia. Both nations are the two remaining importers of Russian crude via the Druzhba pipeline, and Ukraine, which controls the transit infrastructure on its territory. The pipeline has become a flashpoint in Hungarian domestic politics ahead of parliamentary elections in April, in which Prime Minister Viktor Orban's Fidesz party faces a significant challenge from Peter Mayer's Tisza party. Orban has made energy security a central campaign theme, accusing President Volodymyr Zelensky of exploiting the pipeline disputes to destabilize his government. Europe's energy cooperation with Azerbaijan is more important than ever as the ongoing turmoil in the Middle East rattles global markets, European Council President Antonio Costa said Wednesday during a visit to the country. Costa's visit comes as Europe fears the Iran war could further disrupt energy supplies and push prices even higher.
Today, the impact is clear. With the war in Iran shaking global energy markets, our energy partnership is more important than ever. We are now working on a new framework for a closer cooperation between the European Union and Azerbaijan. This sends a strong signal of our joint vision for the future. We are also exploring ways to deepen our cooperation in defence and security.
Important part of our partnership always was, is, and definitely will be cooperation in the energy field, especially after 2022 when we signed with the European Commission a document on strategic partnership in the energy field. And since that time we increased our gas export to European countries with respect to the volumes and with respect to the number of countries.
Aliyev said that some 16 European countries currently receive Azerbaijani gas, with 10 EU member states among the recipients.
The International Energy Agency said that its member countries have agreed to release oil from its reserves in a response to the Iran war. The agency agreed to release 400 million oil barrels, the largest emergency oil distribution in its history.
This is a major action aiming to alleviate the immediate impacts of the disruption in markets. But, to be clear, the most important thing for a return to stable flows of oil and gas is the resumption of transit through the Strait of Hormuz.
The decision aims to bring down oil prices amid the ongoing crisis in the Middle East. Iran has effectively halted cargo traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, through which around a fifth of all oil is shipped from the Persian Gulf to the Indian Ocean. Germany, Austria and Japan had already announced they would release parts of their oil reserves as well.
European Commissioner for Energy Dan Jorgensen urged European countries to lower their taxes on electricity as soon as possible in response to the current spikes in energy prices due to the war in the Middle East.
Of course, there is a very clear concern for us that the prices are too high for our citizens and our industry. We've sent a very clear signal to the member states of the Union. We recommend that you lower the taxes on electricity. That would make it easier for your industry to compete. It will make it easier for your citizens.
He said the rise of global energy prices due to the war in the Middle East shows the EU should move away from fossil fuel, stressing the green transition would lower prices, help decarbonize and improve energy security. However, the energy situation is not as bad as in February 2022, when Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and Europe currently doesn't have security of supply issues, Jorgensen stated.
15 years ago, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck northeastern Japan, triggering a tsunami and killing nearly 20,000 people. On top of the devastation, the tsunami also triggered the Fukushima nuclear disaster, the world's worst nuclear accident since Chernobyl.
東日本大震災の発生から15年の歳月が流れました。ここ福島県においてもかけがえのない多くの命が失われ、未だ行方不明の方々がいらっしゃいます。
Japan has spent the past 15 years rebuilding communities and infrastructure across the affected region. According to government figures, reconstruction of major roads and public housing has now been completed. But efforts to rebuild continue today, with reconstruction efforts now focusing on long-term recovery.
引き続き国が前面に立つ
In Fukushima, radiation levels have significantly decreased due to decontamination work and natural decay. And in the Tohoku region, tourism is promoted again as communities rebuild and visitors gradually return.